Hello once again, YouTube. Chris the Nightbringer here, bringing you some Kuat drive yards, and today we have the Gozanti-Class cruiser. So, this is probably a ship that you don't know much about if you are a general, casual Star Wars fan. But if you've watched the Star Wars Rebels TV show, or if you are a more in-depth fan, a more avid fan of Star Wars and the universe, then you may recognize this ship. It only made one movie appearance, and that was in Episode 1, Phantom Menace, and it showed up in the background of Mos Eisley Spaceport, and that was it. It was like on screen for like 10 seconds, maybe not even. And this particular version is from the Star Wars Rebels TV show. This is the Imperial Freighter version of the ship. There are a few different paint jobs that have been applied to this ship in canon, Legends, EU material overall, and so I've made the Imperial version because I am super hardcore focusing on Imperial stuff at the moment. I really like that type of stuff. Of course, you have seen maybe my Star Destroyer video, my full-scale Imperial 2 Star Destroyer. It's my thing at the moment. So I decided that before I made my way up to the big button, the big ships, I needed to make some smaller ones as well. And this is a perfect entry point to starting Star Wars designs and stuff. So this ship I started a while ago. It's gone through a number of iterations, which is why I have 3 of them on the screen. We're going to look at all 3. I'm only going to be releasing one, and in the link down below, you will be able to get your hands on this ship. I will be uploading this to the community content sections of the forums. So, we're going to look at this one first. Overall, I think I did pretty good with the shaping on the ship. I mean, it is a replica, and I think I imported the model. So, I cheated, honestly. But, I think it came out pretty well. There's a lot of curvature to the hull, and that's a bit tough when you don't exactly want to use full blocks. It's very subtle curvature, but it goes along this like entire structure. It curves downward at the front, it curves a little bit downward in the back, and then the whole thing is kind of like an upside down boat on top of this hull. So it's a bit tough, but I think I managed pretty well, and I implied curvature even if there isn't actual curvature. I think I did okay there. Of course, you can see it has 4 TIE fighters down below. Now these are properly scaled TIE fighters, and I don't know what TIE fighter I last showed off, or if this is the version that I showed off last time, but this is my most up-to-date TIE fighter model. It's super compact, it's not the best, and of course, because of its scale, it's pretty much trash in Starmade. It has literally 4 cannon blocks on it total, and that is not even enough firepower to do damage to another TIE fighter, let alone an X-Wing, which I think has shields. I don't know if my X-Wings have shields, but they should, and if they don't, I should put on a shield recharger on them. Not that it really matters, because those are also very tiny. But this is a 2-scale TIE fighter, and as you can see, the Gozanti-Class freighter can carry 4 of them. So, there's that, and of course, this is like the docking tube, which a person would climb down into the TIE fighter from. So, all 4 of these things launch. It's a bit finicky trying to get them all to come back, and also, I think I was going to demonstrate this, and I might have to set up a fleet in order to do it. Which is unfortunate, because that's time I need to cut into the video. But real quick, we'll take a look in the inside. We have a docking access here. There's not actually a rail module or a docking module on this thing, which kind of sucks, but that's the reality of the build at the moment. Right here we have a freight elevator, which you cannot access. Am I in the ship? Okay, I am in the ship. So you cannot access this from in here. But you can come in here and push this button. That was the wrong one. I may have just... What did I do? I pressed a button. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's going to launch the TIE fighters, so I think maybe this is the freight elevator. Oh, it's not. What buttons am I hitting? What's going on? Oh, okay. There goes the TIE fighters. Okay. Is this the freight button? That's the light. Nice one. There we go. So that thing extends down. And if you watch the Rebels TV show, this thing's actually pretty big. This is a pretty big ship. It doesn't really look like it. They don't... In Starmade, scale is kind of funny, but this thing is like... This thing doesn't look bigger than the Millennium Falcon, but it's like twice the size of the Millennium Falcon in terms of length. And you don't really think of ships in Starmade that way when it's on this scale. But it is actually like a legit big freight ship. They refer to it as a cruiser, like its official designation is the Gozanti-Class cruiser. I don't really know if I would call this a cruiser, because... What the heck, man? This button doesn't work anymore. Alright, well, whatever. They refer to this ship as a cruiser. I don't know what Star Wars' deal is with their ship classifications or their ship types, but I've heard everything from Star Destroyers being referred to as a cruiser and a destroyer to this size ship being referred to as a cruiser or a freighter or what have you. I mean, freighter and cruiser are not mutually exclusive, but I don't know what Star Wars is doing with their ship classifications. It seems a little strange to call it a cruiser. I mean, I would call this a cruiser before I called a Star Destroyer a cruiser. A Star Destroyer seems like a capital ship to me. Anyway, so this is a cargo bay right next to the freight elevator, and in my first iteration of this design, I thought this made sense. Because it is considered a freighter, there is a lot of freight on this thing, and so this is another cargo room. There's shelves on the side that really don't do anything, and of course there's these little hatches on the side of the rooms that allow you to get into the TIE fighter. So you open up this door, you can fall out of gravity and enter the cockpit, and jump in and undock if you need to. If we go forward, there's another one right here for this forward docking hatch. If we come forward, we have a galley, very small. We have a little lounge. Right here we have the refresher, which is what they refer to their bathrooms as in Star Wars, in the Star Wars universe. And then right here we have the captain's quarters, which has a nice, lovely window, right? We go up this a little step, and up here we have like a little console, tech station, whatever. Back here we have the rest of the crew quarters, and so we have 6 beds. And if we move forward into the bridge, cockpit, we have a console for like communications, and then we have the pilot and co-pilot seats. Really digging the way I set up the bridge here. I think it looks really slick. Small as it may be, I think it works really well. So that's the first version, and then I thought I could definitely improve upon all of that. Real quick, before I jump out of this ship. Okay. Do I have anything in a fleet? I don't. Okay. We're going to add these TIE fighters to a fleet. Can I recall them to my carrier? Oh, no way. They are actually coming back. Oh, no. It stopped. Is it broken? Carrier recall. Okay. I think I have to dock them to my ship, and then they'll know which port to use. Which one did I press that ejected the fighters? I gotta press it again. Where is it? Toggle docks. Did that do it? Oh, come on. That's annoying. Okay. I do want to demonstrate the way these things dock, so give me a moment while I grab some resources here. I don't know why the logic isn't working. I think it has something to do with Rails. Somebody on the Starmade Twitter was tweeting at the Starmade Twitter, and they were basically saying that specific logic blocks do not interact with Rails anymore. What am I doing? I'm in the wrong menu. Damn it, I did it again. Okay, we need Rails, and I just want them to rotate. Oh no, I can't see. This is another problem. The orientation view is like all messed up. Let me turn on... So many problems! Preview block to build. Okay. There we go, now I can see. I just need it to rotate there, and we will connect this to all of these. Yeah, as I was saying, somebody on the Starmade Twitter was messaging them, technically me, that some logic blocks are not toggling Rails anymore, and it seems like that's an issue that now exists. So that's unfortunate. Anyway, if I fly over here, I should be able to hopefully get these things to dock up. They're all properly oriented upright. So I go down. Where is my... There it is. So I'm gonna go down a little bit more. Oh, there we go. Ha ha ha. This is going to be a challenge. So there's one, docked. I don't want to take too much more time showcasing my marvelous docking skills with these ships. Whoa. I'm going to hit the ship. I think I have to go over here. What a fiasco this is. How exciting. Oh, those two docked as well? Oh, they are. Great. Okay, so everybody's docked. They're all docking up. So it's a bit tough because these things are super close, and because of the shape of the TIE Fighter, they have to maneuver around this docking port. I would much prefer to have this thing retract into the ship, but I don't think I have the space to really do that and make it visually look decent. I honestly have no idea how well that would work. Also, I'm not even sure if I have the rail space internally to move that up and down vertically enough without infringing upon the interior design of the ship. So, they shouldn't have a problem dodging that cargo lift, but we can launch them again. Nice one. Just busted his cockpit right into that docking port. And then we can order a carrier recall, and they should all fly back, and they will launch themselves again. So let me real quick toggle that again. What are they doing? They're just flying off into the distance. Hello? Carrier recall. Oh, that's unfortunate. That seems broken now too. Man, I just spent all this time trying to set this up, and they're just floating off into the distance. Alright, whatever. We don't need that ship anymore. Well, you get the idea. I'm not gonna say that it works perfectly every time, because this is like the worst way for these ships to dock. These front ones have to dock first, or at least it'd be best if they got into position first, because if this one's in position before this one, then it's not going to be able to maneuver into its spot. So I don't know if there's a better way of doing this. That's what I came up with. I'm probably being a bit of an idiot, but here's the second version. We're just going to skim over this real quick. Same entrance, right? We move into the rear, and we have a new hallway design where it's a bit more rounded. And the reason that is happening is because in the Rebels TV show, you get to see the interior of a Gozanti-Class cruiser, and they have way more interior than is actually feasible on this ship, or at least with cubic meter block-based ships. So that's a bit unfortunate, but I've changed the shape of the hallways. If you look at interior shots of the Gozanti, it's pretty close. I mean, it's not the best. They imply that there's much more space on this ship than there actually is, like multiple hallways going in the same direction. That's definitely not happening with this scale, because I'm, in some cases, right up against the wall. So, I don't know. I forgot what that button does. It doesn't really matter, because this is not the release version. Here is a ladder right in the middle of the hallway, and this is the one reason I redesigned this ship again. This leads into the crew quarters, and we have 8 beds here instead of 6. Which increases the crew complement by 2. Then we come down here, we have a much more legit refresher with a proper toilet stall, some medical supplies, we have a sink, and we have a shower. And I think that's all necessary on a ship like this, or at least of this size. We also have a slightly larger galley, and then we have 2 officers' quarters. One of them would be the captain's quarters, and they get a chair now as well. We come forward, and we're in the bridge. So that's all well and good, but this is the version you will be getting if you decide to download it from the community content section on the Starmade dock. So same spiel, you enter from here, nothing here has changed really. We move back here and we can see that there's a little tech station. This is your cargo block access. Right here is the button for the cargo lift. Here we have a ladder that goes up to the top deck. Top deck, right into the middle of the crew quarters. I think that makes sense. I think that works really well. Also, I changed this so that it's like a ladder to get onto those upper bunks. We move forward and we have the galley again. We have the refresher again. And we have 2 officers' quarters, one being pilot and co-pilot most likely. And then with those 8 additional bunks, you have 4 TIE Fighter pilots and 4 additional crew. One of them is going to be the communications officer that sits behind the pilot and the co-pilot in the bridge. And that means you have 3 additional crew members, or you could put like a squad of stormtroopers on here, which it's supposed to be able to carry. And so nothing has changed on the bridge. If we start moving back through this hallway, we have some cargo space here because this ship is still considered a freighter. That's important. It is still considered a freighter, so I definitely wanted there to be at least a few cargo blocks, but I couldn't make a full cargo bay because there's just not enough room on this ship. Right here is the launch button for the TIE fighters, and if we come down here, this is the TIE fighter access for 2 tubes in one drop down instead of one in a hallway on either side. Right here we have a prison cell. In the Rebels TV show, they show a rebel, not a rebel prison cell, but just a prison cell on the ship. There is a prison cell on the ship, and in fact there were stormtroopers hiding in here ready to ambush our heroes in this TV show before they got away and all that crap. Here's the jump drive access, and then right here, I don't think I showcased this on the other builds, but there is a turret access port, hallway, corridor, tube thing? I don't know. But you can access the turrets on this thing. So we have a turret here, double barrel on the top, and a single barrel on the bottom. That is accurate to the show. This thing has... Well, I guess I'll just show you the stats of this thing. I'll increase their size so you can get a good look. You can pause the video and take a look at that. Overall, I think every single time I built this ship or redesigned the interior, I improved the stats overall. So, in terms of systems, it's got... What is going on? Chat just opened. A computer, a cannon computer. And so, here's what I'm trying to do with my weapon systems, because everybody knows me as the person that doesn't put full systems on their ships. In fact, I leave a lot of empty space on my EVE Online builds because I'm trying to stay accurate to the stats and represent them in Starmade. I understand that's really foolish and just not a good idea, so I'm not doing that anymore, and I'll maybe go into more depth in a later video, particularly in EVE Online, or an NEF video, because the NEF series ships are what suffer from that the most. But I decided to start a new process where, and here's the thing, Star Wars ships also utilize turrets a lot. They don't really have built-in weapon systems, hard-mounted weapon systems like the TIE Fighter does, because once you get past a certain scale, it's useless to do that, right? And I think that makes sense. So, what I'm doing is I'm emulating turret fire with hard-mounted weapons, as well as keeping the turrets on the ship. Because this turret right here is not going to do any damage. This might do damage to like a TIE Fighter, that's great, but against an equally sized vessel, it's not doing jack squat, right? So, what I'm doing is I'm emulating damage on the ship. I'm emulating it as if they're firing their turbo lasers or whatever with hard-mounted guns. So if I target the ship, it's got 4.2k shields on this version. If I shoot it, it brings it down 50%. It brought it down in 2 shots. I think that's pretty good, right? And, I mean, it's not doing massive amounts of damage, but it's certainly better than just leaving it with only turrets. So this thing is full of systems. I am no longer making ships where they are, like, devoid of systems, right? I'm not going to claim that I'm, like, super good at PvP or even system building. But I think it's time that we got past that and, you know, properly outfitted our ships. Now, in the few moments remaining, I would like to go through all the other stuff on the hotbar. We have toggle docks. So that launches the fighters. I'm going to have to go pick those up, but we'll do that later. I have engines, which, if you know me, I like to have toggleable engines. So there's the light on the engines. Of course, if you move the ship, it's got that nice blue glow. We're still utilizing the thruster plumes behind the ice blocks there. What else do we have? I believe we have landing gear. Yes, there are 4 landing gear on this ship. These will clip through the TIE fighters in the middle, but that really isn't an issue, and it's pretty stable, I guess, if you landed it on a planet, although, again, nobody recommends that, so please don't. And, of course, the turrets will not interfere if they are in their proper position. We also have the boarding ramp, which is right there. And we have a sensor, or scanner computer, and a jump drive, which are, I guess, probably average, not anything spectacular. Oh, actually, the sensors are pretty decent. Nice. The jump drive, probably not as decent. The reason the jump drive isn't as decent is because this ship is described as having good thrusters, good shields, and good firepower. And also, it says it's well armored, but I didn't want to put any standard armor on this thing. Aesthetics still take priority when it comes to my builds, and the regular gray standard armor is a little too dark for the color scheme, so I stuck with gray hull. So, there's that. I'm gonna get out because I don't like the look of those freaking docking rails. The launch rails. Also, I don't know which way is out of my ship. Help. Okay. When the great blocks change to a not full block collision... Oh, you know what? There's no button on the outside of this thing to... Oh, geez. How do I do this? Am I toggling this light? Oh, no. I wanted to get out. Well, we'll just break out. How about that? So, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. When the great blocks, when they are changed to have a quarter slab collision mesh, then I will change those ladders to be great blocks. For now, they are ladders because that's the closest thing that resembles a ladder. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you have any feedback, leave your comments down below. You can, of course, get this on the community content section of the Starmade doc by clicking the link down below and getting it for yourself. And in the next Kuat Drive Yards episode, we will be taking a look at a much larger and much more detailed ship. It is the Imperial Customs Corvette, and I'm super excited to show it to you because it will be one of my best builds, I think, I've ever made. So far, ever. Out of at least my personal stuff. So, thanks for watching again, and I will see you all next time.